sound पे आ गया.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi everyone. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulih al-kareem. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Innal hamdulillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlil fala hadiya lahu wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu ittaqullaha haqqa tuqatih wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله قولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي امري واحلل عقدة من لساني ويفقهوا قولي. يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك استغيث رب اغفر وارحم وانت خير الراحمين. استغفر الله ربي من كل ذنب واتوب اليه. And the dua for this last Ashra of the Ramadan is Allahumma ajirni min an-nar, Allahumma ajirni min an-nar, Allahumma ajirni min an-nar. So make sure you can recite it as much as you can. This is the last Ashura started from last night. There was the first odd night, alhamdulillah, and I'm sure you must have done quite a lot of ibadahs, inshallah. And if you have not, we still have a few more odd nights as well as about 9 nights to go in this month of Ramadan. So please make sure you can do as much as you can in this month of Ramadan, inshallah, and don't forget to we keep repeating this dua, which is Allahumma ajirni minan nar, Allahumma ajirni minan nar, Allahumma ajirni minan nar. I was trying to find some more details about this dua, and I found that this is very helpful for the patients of blood pressure, the people those are having different anger and anxiety kind of issues and fear, and they're not coming back to the right path. So they keep saying this dua. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inshallah bless them with the shifa. Allahumma ajirni minan nar. Allahumma ajirni minan nar. All right, dear brothers and sisters in Islam, today inshallah we will be doing Juz 21 as I said earlier. And today, before we get there, we'll do a quick revision of Juz 20 that we covered yesterday. We covered Surah An-Naml, we covered Surah Al-Qasas, we covered Surah Al-Ankabut as well. So 3 of the surahs we covered. And today, inshallah, we'll continue from Surah An-Kabut. And if you would recall, some of the discussion topics we had yesterday were everything is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we learned yesterday in the detail that everything that we have, that we own, either it's a good times or bad times, it's a wealth or health or sickness or life or death, every single thing is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's what we learned very clearly yesterday. The second thing we learned from yesterday was the qasas of the Prophet. Qasas is the narrations of the prophets. We learned about a lot of the prophets, their nations, their good deeds, their bad deeds, what they have done, how they have spent the time. We have learned quite a lot about that as well. We learned about the story of Qarun, if you would remember. The Qarun was one of the richest most person probably that you can imagine, and he had a lot of Allah granted him with a lot of jewels and money and the resources in this world. So he was quite rich, and he felt that it's all because of his own hard work and his own mind and brain and his business skills and all of that. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us all at the end of the day, no, it was not because of that or any of that. It was because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted him, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests sometimes. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sometimes tests with the wealth that he grants you, and sometimes he tests you with the poor and hunger as well. So Qarun was tested with the test of giving of a lot of things that were given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to him. All right, so we learned about that as well. We learned about some more details, the good endings. So I think I've been listening to a few things recently, and they were saying that, oh, when we watch movie, if the movie is not ending good, it doesn't sound good, doesn't look good. So we know with the fact that the good ending is always good, and someone would like to prefer and have the good endings. So if someone wants to have the good endings, the rule is that good ending comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and only belongs to the people. Those are the favorite people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we know, and we learned yesterday who are the people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have discussed all of their characteristics in the detail yesterday as well as a few days back. So we have discussed a lot of good qualities of the good people. Those are the favorite people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we discuss them. And if you don't know, or if you have missed them, or if you want to get back to all of those, what I would suggest is to please go back to the recordings on YouTube and learn all of those good things we talked about in the past. So all of these items that we have been talking about from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and everything. So these are the good habits, the favorite people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Find all of those details and please open Quran, and you can also get from there as well, inshallah. And then we learned yesterday that you will be tested in the good times or bad times of your life. You will be tested. And once you will be tested in multiple ways by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only people, those who will still rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and will stay on the right path, will be the blessed people. And once we are in this world, we are living here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave an example of this world for us as an example of, if you remember, an example of a spider net. So a spider net, how difficultly a spider makes, it creates the complete net. And what happens in that net? They try to live in there, that they're going to live there forever. But a small thing can just simply destroy them easily. And I think we also discussed yesterday that there are a lot of, or many of the spiders, they make many of the houses in their lifespan, because their one house is never strong enough. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us this world to us is like a spider net. The benefits we get here, the value we see here is just a spider net, a temporary, a small, a little bit, a very weak situation we have here. So the best thing is to rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All right, so this is where we finish our revision from yesterday, and let's go ahead and move to the Juzz 21. This is a continuation of Surah Al-Ankabut that we were talking yesterday. And this Juzz number 21 starts from a very beautiful ayah. Well, a couple of ayahs I want to mention for you actually. It's Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Utlu ma uhiya ilayka min al-kitabi wa aqim as-salah inna as-salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar wa la zikrullahi akbar wallahu ya'lamu ma tasna'un. So I think I'll just go with this one ayah quickly here. It starts with saying that recite Quran, recite the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and aqim as-salah, and do what? And establish the prayer. Establishing the prayer means what? At the Fajr time, stand up for Fajr. At the Zuhr time, stand up for the Zuhr time. Asr, Maghrib, Isha, and all that. Inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. Remember we talked about that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do not like adultery, do not like any sexual or any of the bad habits. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling right here that salah can save you, can protect you, can stop you from adultery and the bad deeds. Well, munkar is a bad deed as well, I would call it. Wala zikrullahi Allahu Akbar, and remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His mentioning is very great, and he's the greatest. So this one is saying that if you want to be a good person, and one of the favorite person of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we talk about the qualities of good people are they don't do the bad things. They don't get involved into the adultery things, and they don't talk bad, and they don't go even in the bad majalis, in the gatherings where the bad people are gathered together. Good people don't even go there. So once we know all of these details, and now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and scholars says that if Quran said that the salah stops you from these things, and if you're still involved in these things, which means what? That maybe your prayers are not accepted. There is something still missing. Either you do not have khushu and khudu. Remember we talked about yesterday that you cannot have or establish the focus in the prayer. Maybe you do not understand the meaning of Quran and the salah what you recite in the Quran. So you don't know what you're saying there. You just keep saying that. Or maybe once you're doing salah, you're doing it for the sake of showing off or showing people around. Or maybe when you're doing salah, you're not clear what you're doing for. When you're doing salah, your intention is that just make happy and then I'll go back to the world and we'll do the mess again on the world side. So whatever the weakness is there, you are the best judge of yourself. I'm the judge of myself, the best. So we need to find out if our prayers are not stopping us from the bad habits. There's something wrong in us and something we're not doing right. Let's get back and revive that, because I believe strongly Quran cannot tell us the wrong message. If Quran is saying that the prayer stops you from these things, yes, prayer does stop us from these things. It's just a matter of where we are lacking. Our intention is fine. Yeah, it's correct. What we're doing wrong unintentionally. Are we making our nafs our God as soon as we came out of the prayer, or something else is going on? So I'll stop this one right here. I think it's enough of the thought process that I throw out for you that you can pick up, and please think about it. How it can be more detail that you can pick, and I can pick with you as well. Like you can find more details that our prayers are accepted. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to please accept all of our prayers. Make us amongst the people those are on the right path and understand the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and understand the spirits of the virtues of the ibadah we perform. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us on the right path. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about that your Nabi, your Rasul, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was ummi. You have a Nabiye ummi. Ummi means the person that don't know how to read and write. If I can say illiterate, if I can say that out of negligence or lack of a better word, astaghfirullah. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not an educated person. Educated in terms of the worldly knowledge. In terms of the worldly graduation degrees we talked about yesterday. But Rasulullah was given wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this was the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Rasulullah have not had any, have not had any educational background. If he had, what would have happened? And this is, I think, in Ankabut in 48, it says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if Prophet Muhammad had read any other books than Quran, or if he would know how to write other books, the kuffar would have said, undoubtedly, we know Muhammad na'uzubillah have collected this Quran from the other books and the stories and stuff like that. They would have said it. Now they cannot say it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removed their excuse right there and then. Further down in the ayahs, we learned that Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is kind of the same message we learned yesterday. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Kullu nafsin za'iqatul maut. Every living being have to die. Summa ilayna turja'un, and everyone have to return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Walazina amanu wa amilu salihati لنبوّن أنهم من الجنة غرفا تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها نعم أجر العاملين. Which means is, again, the close translation I'm going to do here is quickly. And those who have believed and done righteous deeds, we will surely assign to them of paradise elevated chambers, beneath which rivers flow, wherein they abide eternally, excellence is the reward of the righteous workers. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling here is that if you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you're doing the asamilu salihat, you're doing the right deeds and good deeds, لَنُبَوِّئَنَّهُم مِّنَ الْجَنَّةِ غُرُفًا مِّن تَجْرِي تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارُ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا, that you will be granted with a Jannah and underneath there will be big rivers flowing, and that's a place for the good people. Those are excellent people, those follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his guidance. In ayah 59, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about no animals carry their food on their shoulders. Have you seen any animals like birds or cow or goat or any other animal? If you have seen, they carry their food with them. Allah give them rizq 3 times a day if they want, 2 times a day if they want, or they want to eat all day long. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them rizq no matter what. They don't carry, they don't store. It's just human does that. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if you go, you find the rizq of Allah, but actually Allah grants you the rizq. So which means that even if we think that I am going to work and making money for my family, if I'm going to my business and bringing dollars to my home and can buy them a food or risk or something like that, it's not that you are doing it. Actually, it's Allah giving you everything. And the example Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave about the animals is that if you think you're strong enough and you're storing stuff and you're collecting food and all that, who gives the animals? It's the same Allah that gives them as well. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala right away says that here, that even if you still think because you're human and you have brain and you have ability, if you still think that you are something, that feel that you have a wide risk given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to you, you have been granted a lot of ease in this world, you have been granted with the money, education, with the skills, with a big house, with any food that you want to eat, it's in your access. If you think it's because you are someone superior, you're wrong. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not giving you because you're superior. It's just Allah's formula that he have not exposed why and how he give everyone like that. But he's giving and distributing this in the way he wanted. And again, as I said earlier, it can be a test when he gives and it can be a test when he takes away. So in both ways, it can be a test for someone that has something. And I remember one of the scholars mentioned that I'm glad I do not have any assets like that other people have. I have less to worry about on the day of judgment. I'm more happy that I do not have it. Ayah number 69, which is almost the end of the surah that we're talking about, talks about, and those who strive for us, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we will surely guide them to with our own way. And indeed, Allah is with the doers of good. All right, so who are we here sitting together in this session? Alhamdulillah. So I think we're like 10 of us here and about 4 or 5 on YouTube or 6 or maybe something like that. So about 15, 18 people, whatever. So these people sitting together trying to do what? Are we not those who are striving for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at this time? Are we not that we are asking Allah to please guide us? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in the Quran, the book that la rayba fihi hudan lil muttaqin, the book that no one have any doubts on, this book is telling that we will surely guide them. And who are them? We all together sitting right here, right now. And we will be guided to what? Not Sirat Mustaqim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not saying it's Sirat Mustaqim. He's not saying it's the path of the people of Jannah. It's not saying the path of the Muttaqi or Imama or, any good words you can imagine. He's saying you will be guided on the path to our ways, to the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's something we are going to get, that if we are striving for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I'm sure that's our intention sitting together here, that our intention is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if we have the intention for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he will keep us or take us to his ways. And we will surely guide them to our way. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in this ayah right here. And indeed Allah is with the doers of good. And if we are trying to strive for Allah's path, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, it's something that you are trying to do what? Doer of good. You are doer of good. You're trying to do good something. and you'll be guided in the right path, inshallah. So this is where we conclude our surah right here, and Surah Ankabut that we're going through, and this enters us in the Surah Al-Rum. And after Surah Al-Rum, inshallah, we'll be going towards Surah Al-Luqman shortly. And then at the end, we'll finish up with the Surah Sajda. It's been a long topic, long discussion today. But inshallah, we'll cover as much as we can in this small session. And I know it's a lot to cover. Surah Al-Rum, we're going to talk about now. Surah Al-Rum is a Meccan surah, which was revealed in Makkah, believed to be revealed in Makkah. It has 60 verses and 6 rukus in it. It talks about the Romans, the Eastern Roman Empire, the Greeks, it talks about them. And this surah have a contrast between monotheism and the polytheism, which means that the people those believe in one Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and people those believe two or more gods, if I can say that. So it's a contrast of that knowledge for us, that what is the difference between those two, and this surah discusses these matters very nicely for us. In the start, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that there is a miracle of Quran, and the truth proves the future predictions. All right, so which future prediction Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking that was proved by Quran in this surah? In this surah, there was a war going on at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam between Romans and Rome people, obviously, and the Faris people. So there was a battle going on, a war going on between both. They were fighting. They were both considered very powerful, and if you would remember, or would you know, that Romans were people of the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Faris were mushrik, and they were non-believers or idol worshippers or whatever you can call them. So they were two of the groups. So what happened? Faris won. And when the Faris won, mushrikeen of Makkah were celebrating that, and they were very happy and extremely happy. And they said, look, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you said there's only one God. Look what happened. The people of one God were destroyed. They're lost. And this is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send an ayah in this Quran, in this surah, in the beginning. It says that it's going to be a few years. This win is a temporary. In next few years, Romans will win again, and Faris, the Mushrikeen, will lose again. And within 7th year, that after this ayah was revealed, the story happened, as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Quran mentioned, that Romans won and Faris lost here, and their victory was definitely temporary. In number 9, we talk about the don't be proud of what you have today. Don't you remember that the previous ummas were blessed, and they were blessed with a lot of materialistic powers, which is nothing. Look at the Qarun story. Look at Malka Saba, we talk about. Look at Fir'aun. Look at the Musham of the Mushrikeen and Munafiqeen of Makkah as well. So everyone that was rich, it never means that it's an ability or something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them a more superiority than others, or with the materialistic powers, they would be like proud and they will be feeling like they are everything now. Well, actually, it's all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and nothing that belongs to them. In ayah number 21, Allah says that Allah's signs are that He made couples, everything in the couples. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make everything in the couples. So He made love between the zawjain, between husband and wife. He made the love between them. And what it does, it satisfies them. It keeps them calm. It keeps them happy. It keeps them together. That love between them creates a base of a unit of a civilized system, any civilized system. And we know with the fact that any civilization starts from a home, from a husband and wife and the kids, and it becomes one family. One family becomes one neighbor, and then one neighborhood, one community, one city, state, country, and so on and so on. So that's exactly how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is explaining us here, that this is another sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He makes us couple and gave us love. He created the skies and the earths and He created multiple languages. And He created night where we can sleep and take rest. And He made a day we can go out and find our risk and our jobs we can perform. These are all signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that you stay away from the liar and the people of liar religion. stay away from the lie religions and stay on a deen of fitrat, which means the religion of the nature. Stay on the religion of the nature. That's what Rasulullah was advised by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that may be an advice for us as well. Let's not go to the people or the religions. Those are not the true religion. So the only religion, the true religion, is the religion of the nature, which is Deen Islam, in the Dina, in the law of Islam. So which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us is Islam only. Ayah number 33 talks about the mean human being. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that kind of a word, not exactly, but mean human being is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioning, because we do remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we are in pain, and we forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we are at ease. And they forget even they don't even forget, but they actually enter into the shirk type of situation as well. And they get helpless from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessing. They get hopeless and they completely say that Allah cannot help us. And this is where the destruction comes. This is where the frustration comes. This is where the disappointments come. This is where those people gets towards more suicidal rates and anything else more than anything else in the world. And Islam and Muslim people have very less, because we have that light in the tunnel, kind of a hope that yes, we will be forgiven. We will get it, inshallah. We have a hope. We have a we have that rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that if we can hold it together, we'll be out of the trouble, or any trouble, inshallah. All right, so then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that give to your relatives and to poor people and the people those are traveling, give to them, and make sure that you don't just keep money to yourself. Give away as much as you can. Find the opportunities to giving away. If you do that, that's good for you as well. In this world, or either it's a dry patch of the world, which means the earth, or it's a wet part of the earth, which means the seas. Everywhere, all the fights those are taking place between countries or whatever, it's all because of the human being by themselves. It's not because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's kind of Allah's azab that people fight with each other. So let's try to find more of a peace and love and prosperity between us and between others as well. So let's ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us on the good path and save us from all the fasad and fight and any of the bad habits, inshallah. I mean. All right, so this is where we enter at Surah Luqman. It's a 31st surah of the Quran and has a 4 rukus. It's Makkan surah. It's a small surah with 34 verses. And the Luqman reference came from ayah number 12 to 19, I believe. This is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explained how Luqman advised his son. And this is a very, very important message. If I or we, listener, are children of our parents, this is what we need to do. And if we are parents, we need to see how we can advise our children and how we can help them to be successful. Before we can go further, Luqman was an individual where many scholars believe that he was probably not a prophet. He was a very wise man with the wisdom and knowledge, and he was very smart, actually, let's put it this way. So this is the surah on his name, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala liked Luqman, his wisdom, his ability, the way he talked, the way he walked, the way he advised to his son. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loved this so much that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the whole surah on his name and gave us the complete guide on what Luqman guided to his children or his son, so we can learn from that and we can do the same thing. The surah starts from talking with the betterment of mankind. So as we just talk about that, while Luqman and his sons references there in the Quran, and the surah starts from where it's mentioning what? That this is the betterment of mankind, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us for that reason. So we believe that Islam is the best religion of the earth. Islam is the religion of mankind. Islam is the religion of peace. Islam is the religion of prosperity. Islam makes us the best human being in this world and the hereafter. We are not the warriors with the swords in our hands. We are not the killers who will go on the street and will say Allah Akbar and kill everyone. We're not crazy. We're not out of our mind. We're not idiots, in simple words, if I can say that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that if you're Muslim, your first job is to become a better human being, to become successful in all domains. So far we have been learning how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us the family matters. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us how to be good, to be a good human being. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't break your promise, don't misbehave, don't be an arrogant, don't cheat, don't lie, don't cross the limits, spend wisely. I mean, every single rule you look at it, it definitely makes a human being a best human being. It's not that its religion is making us anything a warrior or a jihad word that's been portrayed in this world. That's nowhere close to truth or reality that what Quran teach. But if someone still have a doubt that, oh, it talks about azab, which is gonna we're gonna talk about the next surah, which is a battle of Ahzab, or Muslims were involved in the battle of Badr, or Muslims were involved in the battle of Uhud, and they were fighting all day long, and their Sahaba and their Mu'minin further down there, they were all involved in the fights. They're continuously going and killing the people. So I would like to mention that look at the Makkah time frame. Rasulullah SAW have not attacked a single person. They have very nicely preached Islam for years, for a decade, if not more. Then they went to Medina, and still they tried to stay as peaceful as possible. And they were trying to establish themselves, and they were attacked and attacked. And then Muslims went back to, okay, fine, now we need to stop them somehow. So that's what Muslims are. That's what this religion tells us. This is the religion that tells you that if you save one life, it's like you save the all mankind. This is a religion that tells you that if you kill one human being, it's like crime is like you kill all mankind. This is a religion that tells you that a woman should be equally or more respected in this world. This is a religion that tells you the human rights are equal. This is a religion that tells you that there is no discrimination between individuals, or no racism because of a color or gender or poorness or richness. Alhamdulillah, what a balanced religion this is. What a great rules this religion explains us. All the economical wars, all the interest-based economies, all of these problems that we see in this world today, I believe strongly that if they were listening to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the system was made or based upon the justice system, there would have been no problems. It would have been a peaceful world where everyone could have lived their own life easily and happily, inshallah. Anyhow, moving on quickly in Surah Luqman, ayah number 12, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted hikmah, the wisdom to Luqman, and said that Luqman, thank Allah. If you thank, you will be benefited more and more from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We know that, right? La azidannakum shakartum. As much as you will thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will grant you more and more. And then he advised, this wise man advised to his son about 10 or 8 or 10 different points that I'm going to discuss with you now. The first and foremost he mentioned, avoid shirk. And I'll discuss this point a little bit more in detail. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us one heart, and one heart cannot have two gods in it. We'll discuss this later. But for children, this is extremely important. We understand what is shirk, that we make partner of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, na'uzubillah, anyone partner. That can be our own nafs, our own willingness, and I want this, and for wanting this, I'll cross all the limits. That's not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. He says, avoid shirk of all forms, even if it's a form of idols, or two gods, or Jesus and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or Uzair al-Islam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or Maryam and Isa al-Islam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or if you have created your own idols or statues or anything, or even your own inner, your own desires, if you have made them your God. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you that avoid the shirk. That's the first thing, a first piece of advice that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us and our children, alhamdulillah, right here. The second piece of advice that Luqman gave to his son was, thank Allah and thank your parents. Subhanallah. I think in one of the talks I did in the past, I was able to find at least, maybe, Mela protect me if I'm going to quote wrong, but at least 6 points, if I remember, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned parents right after himself. Obey Allah and obey your parents. Thank Allah and thank your parents. So this is the best piece of advice that a parent can give to their child, that listen, you need to learn how to be thankful. And first and at most, you have to be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then after that, yes, sure, you can be thankful to your parents who were the reason that you are in this world, who are the reasons that once you were not able to even walk and talk, you were able to survive in this world when you were not even able to move and clean yourself or eat or feed yourself. So your parents did that to you. So now it's a time when you're growing up, it's time for you that you thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you thank your parents. The third piece of advice that Luqman gave to his son was behave well with your parents. It's not just you thank them, but you need to behave well with them as well. And then your mother, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explained the efforts, the problems, the tough time that mother have gone through to raise a child, to give a birth to a child. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned as an example that while Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you to behave well with your parents, because they have strived for you and struggled for you quite a lot. They could have spent their life, they could have been going in the honeymoon forever and ever and what else not, or whatever they could have done. But they thought, no, let's stop, let's bring a life in this world. And when the life came, that's you. And you need to be what? Behaving well with them when you are growing up, because they sacrifice for you quite a lot. They can't even sleep well in the nights even now, even if you've grown up. They feel that where is my child? Why is not home? They can't eat by themselves peacefully because they know that their children are not home yet. So there are too many things that parents do for their children, and children have to be very much conscious of these things, and they have to be very thankful to their parents as well, and they have to behave well with them. And there's a one hadith and there are reference we discussed a few days back as well, that even if your parents are, you found them in the old age, you cannot even say them just a one word of oof. You can't even do that. Yesterday we learned a hadith from Rasulullah that said that as a child, you have to obey your parents for every single thing, but the shirk, or if they stop you to follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran, that's the only exception when you cannot behave well with them or respect them or follow them. That's the only exception. You can disobey them, actually, I should say that better word. Otherwise, you have to follow them. And then further it says, do good to your parents. So now listen, how are we starting, right? To build a good relationship, we say thank you, which means now I'm nice, you're nice, right? So there's a relationship built. And then I'm behaving well with you. All right. So I'm behaving well means I'm talking nice to you and I'm like, okay, fine, I'm respecting you and all that. So now the relationship gets more strong. As a third and next level, Rahman is telling, do good to your parents and listen to them. But only exception is don't leave your religion if they are not Muslims. Other than that, everything as a child, you have to listen and follow them. Everything else you have to follow them, period. There's no question asked. There's no argument in it. And that's a clear-cut order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran in Surah Luqman. That's an advice that Luqman gave to his child, and Allah ta'ala make it part of the Quran for us. And then he tells the children, I do understand that you can be weak. You have a young energy and very energetic, and you can be like in multiple directions in your mind, and you can think about so many things in your life. You want to go and do so many things. Sure, but pray regularly. Remember, we just learned tanha wal munkar wal fahshay wal munkar as-salatu fahshay wal munkar. What it does is the salah stops us from what? From the fahsha wal munkar. We know that, right? We just learned that a little while earlier. So if we are praying, what it does is inna salata tanha anil fahshay wal munkar. No doubt the salah stops us from the bad things. So our youngsters, when your age is very young and you're not mature enough, you're not very strong enough, and you can be beaten by shaitan easily. So piece of advice for you is what? Pray regularly. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will fix you and will not let you go on the south side, on the wrong side. He will save you and protect you, inshallah. And the next point is it tells you that Amr al-Maruf wa Nahy anil Munkar. That even you're young and you're your child, it's your responsibility that you become a part of Ma'ruf. You give order of the good deeds to each other, to your friends, and wanahi anil munkar, and don't become a part of the bad people, bad deeds. I have known a lot of example. I was in ISB for a few years, teaching there quite regularly, and then I've been ISB, ICOM, and some other communities involved. Involved in the university as well. I'm working and teaching and studying myself as well. I'm a dad, I'm a son, so I'm like in the middle of like so many things at this time. So I've been keep learning quite a lot of things. Recently, we learned a story that a good child, because he was young and he fall into trap of one not listening to his parents, disobeyed them. He was not giving them amr bil maruf. He was not advising his friends for good deeds, and nahi al munkar, and he was not stopping them from bad deeds. Finally, he became a part of them, and he ended up in very bad shape. I don't want to talk about that thing. I want to keep it secret for someone else. But the whole message is you listen to your parents, you respect them, you thank them, and then you pray regularly. Then you tell everyone, even your age fellows, hey, let's not do bad things, let's just do good things only. And then you stop them from the bad deeds and yourself as well. Then you stays on the right path, and that will be a good success for you, inshallah. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that we are young, and you are young, if children are right here. If anyone is young, we can be arrogant. We can be very aggressive. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that as Luqman advised to his son, don't be arrogant, rather be humble, be thankful, be nice and quiet and easygoing kind of thing. And then it says further down there in the next piece of advice is that وَلَا تَمْشِ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَحًا. On the earth, don't walk with the arrogance and with a wide chest open that I'm gonna wide open or break this whole earth. I'm that strong. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, yeah, we know, we understand your young age, your young energies might have the power like that, but be humble, be easy, walk nicely and humbly in this world. That's very important. And the last piece of advice that I would like to mention from this surah is that when you walk decent and you talk decent, that makes you respectful amongst others. So always walk decently and talk decently. That's the last message that Luqman gave to his son. That's something I was able to take out from this surah to best of my understanding. But there could be a lot more for us. Please open Surah Luqman and recite these ayahs and the meaning of them. I'll quickly wrap up on this surah on the one more ayah. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling that, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you all good things and good messages. He's saying now all the trees of this earth becomes the pens, qalam. All the seas of this earth becomes the ink, and add 7 more like that. I don't know if it's a 7 times more or 7 more into that. So now all trees are pens, all sea waters are ink. Now it says, do what? Start writing the kalamat Allah, or blessing of Allah, or the praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Start writing that. Everything will be dried and finished, but kalamas will not be finished of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you are believing in that great Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that greatest Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's a message in this surah, and this surah close here. And then we enter into Surah Al-Sajdah, which is the 32nd surah, and probably today's our we'll discuss first portion of this surah, and we'll wrap up inshallah. And alhamdulillah, we are on time still. So it's a Makkan surah with 3 rukus and about 30 ayahs. And the reference of this surah, As-Sajdah, came from prostration, from ayah number 15. And Surah Sajdah is one we're discussing now. I apologize. We still have to go through a little bit about Surah Ahzab as well. I apologize. So Surah Sajdah is what is the prostration. When we, in the prayer, in the salah, when we go all the way down, that's a sajda, that's a prostration. And who believes in Allah, who listens to Allah and praise Allah and bend in prostration, that's what are the people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the surah is mentioning all of us about this, that we do bend in the sajda and prostration in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are not egoistics. They're not arrogant. They stays up in the nights to worship. Those fear Allah, believe in His Rahman, in His blessings, and ask Allah for help. So this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying that the people who believe on Allah are the people, those listen to Allah's ayahs and praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They do prostrate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're not egoistic. They're not arrogant. They stay up. And I think I was reading this ayah, and the way it was explained was like their beds, sorry, let me step back. Their bodies stay away from their beds for pretty much all night or most of their nights. That's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling that the bed and the body have like very close relationship. If we don't put ourselves on my bed, oh man, I was not on my bed for like one night and I'm not feeling myself, I'm tired. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you that you in your bed, when you are on your bed, the people, those believe me and those love me, they do not attach their body on the bed for a long time in the night, rather than they spend the night in the prostrate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ibadah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these are the people who fear Allah and believe in the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they feel and they believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make us good and will keep us good and will take care of us always. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that there's a difference between Mu'min and Fasik. Mu'min is the one that believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Fasik is the one that does the bad deeds all the times. So that's something we also learned here in Surah Sajda as well. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying is that Allah as a host has prepared a beautiful house in Jannah for practicing moments. All right, moment of pause here, like as yesterday, right? Moment of pause on what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is clearly saying Allah will be a host. Allah as a host prepared a house in Jannah for practicing Muslim. All right, practicing Muslims. I have heard a lot of my brothers and sisters in Islam, I heard them saying, I'm a Muslim, but I'm not practicing, unfortunately. May Allah protect us all. Nauzubillah, astaghfirullah. How someone can say that I'm a Muslim but not practicing, which means if we are not doing sajda or prayer 5 times, we're not practicing that, then are we Muslim? If we're not fasting in Ramadan, are we Muslim? If we have the ability to pay zakah, we're not paying, are we Muslim? If we are not practicing the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, be a good human being, be a good civilized person, be good to others, be nice to parents, be obedient to parents, be obedient to Allah and His Rasul. If we are not practicing, so can we say we are Muslims? If we are not practicing, I think we're not Muslims. So if any of us, or if this message any of you is listening, and if anyone have claimed ever that, yeah, I'm Muslim but not practicing Muslim, so let's not do that, please. Let's not mention that, please. May Allah protect us all for any negligence and any wrong things, and may Allah make us a good following Muslim, inshallah. Ameen. If you will be patient and humble, Allah will put them and you to imama. Imama is the word that's been used for the high ranks. Imama is the word that's used for the leadership. Imama is the word used for the lead for the others. So if you are with the patience and humble, Allah will put you with amongst the imamat and will make you the imamat as well. All right, so we entered the Surah Ahzab, inshallah, and we'll just cover 8 ayahs, first 8 ayahs of Surah Ahzab, which is the 33rd surah, and we'll wrap up here, inshallah. It's the 33rd surah of the Quran. The Ahzab means the clans, the coalition, the combined forces, maybe. It's a Madani surah with 9 ruku and 73 verses. And if you would remember, it's a ghazwa. Ghazwa is the battle where Rasulullah was part of that. It's a ghazwa trench or Ahzab, which means that when they were all together. So just a little bit of a background of this surah is, it's a Madani surah when Muslims were living in Medina. All non-believers got together and they said, we are done with Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He is saying bad to our idols. He's doing this, he's making people right, he's taking our slaves away, he's giving respect to our women. I mean, everything that we have been doing, he's changing everything. So now for us, let's get together and let's stop him. And all the mushrik and the people, those who are not believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they all get together. And they said, no, we are going to do what? We're going to attack on them. All right. So they came as a ahzab, as a together, as a plural of the jama'ah, means they came as different tribes together and they came to attack Muslims. So when Muslims sat together and they realized that they're coming as big ones, so they said, okay, fine, we are going to stay in our own city, but we'll make a trench around the city and we'll leave the water so they cannot cross and they cannot come and attack us. And now everyone watching around was saying, this is it. This is the end of Muslims. The army that non-Muslims have is so huge that Muslims could not survive for a long time. Ultimately, they will go away and they will be finished. And now, when this was going on, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now just quickly mention on a side that now I want to tell you one thing, that every human being have one heart. Remember we talked about a little bit that there's a brain and there's a heart. Heart have a spiritual or virtual connections, and the brain have the physical and materialistic connections. It's close to eyes, what it says, it's acts on that. Heart is far from there. It cannot see, it cannot act on that. That's my own theory. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is explaining this theory a little bit more and saying that every human have one heart. You cannot have iman and kufr in one heart. That makes you a munafiq. If you have two gods, then you become mushrik. And if you are thinking that you are on the right path and the wrong path, hidayah and the wrong path at the same time, that cannot happen. You are either on one path or on the other. Heart is just one-way traffic, one kind of traffic only. It cannot hold both ways. Right and wrong can never be together in this heart. It has to be only one thing. Either it's good or bad. Either you have one Allah or you have multiple gods, whatever the method you chose. So that's a heart you have. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala briefly touch here the relations of the blood versus your adopted relationships, and how you call them and what names you assign them, and how you call them ibne or binte what. Like, you know, in the Arab culture, there was pride at how you call their children. And if you cannot find their blood relationship, then you can call them with their name, that's fine. So this is a little bit more detail we found in the ayah number 4 in Surah Ahzab about the adopted children as well. Further moving on, ayah number 5, it says that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam are very near to moments, and they own their jans even, their lives even. So some scholars explain that this ayah have two meanings. One is that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is very close to my heart. It's very close to me, and he's always listening to me, and I'm listening to him as well. I mean, kind of things like that. But he also owns our lives. And when we say Atiullah wa Atiur Rasul, which means that we are submitting ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And now we are going to do only what that they asked us to do, because they owns us. We are kind of their slaves. Obviously, we are their ummas and their companions, and we are the loved ones of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But in one sense, if I'm going to submit myself, which means I'm submitting myself everything, I become a slave of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I will obey them as I could have, or as I can, I will. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentioned that the wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam are the mothers of all the moments. So these are two three different things mentioned here as well. And the ayah number 8 talks about the test of the patience was this war of the trench. And the munafiqeen, those who were living within the Muslims, and they were claiming that we're Muslims, finally their patience got over, and they were scared, and they complained that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where is your Allah that promised? It's been over, it's almost a month. Where is your Allah that promised that Allah will make us victorious and them lose? How is it going to happen? I'm not seeing that happening. They are staying there around us. We are running out of the supplies and food and everything, and our people are like in this lockdown situation. They were tired for a month, and they didn't have the food supply and everything else. And finally, a big storm and thunder came and destroyed those kuffar. And then Muslims won, and Muslims were not lost. And this is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved all the Muslims. And that's what we are here now because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help. If that day Muslims were destroyed, we probably would not have been Muslim. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan was that He would have saved us here and save all the Muslims, and then we can have our information here as well. So with that note, I want to thank everyone for joining, and I want you all to please remember me in your du'as, especially again, it's the 21st fast, which is an odd day. Tomorrow is not an odd night, but today is not, but tomorrow will be. So please try to stay as much as you can. I'll keep trying to remind you guys about this one. The dua that I mentioned for Ramadan, for especially the third one, Allahumma ajirni minan nar, Allahumma ajirni minan nar. Keep repeating that dua as much as you can. Please take care of yourself, your family, your friends. Stay connected as a community, as a family, inshallah. And I'm very optimistic and hopeful. Inshallah, we'll be together again in the masjid very soon. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا افرغ علينا صبرا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. ربنا ولا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا وأخطأنا. ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا. ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.